Tom Holland's highly anticipated solo outing for the titular wall crawler has arrived. Is it everything we were hoping for? Oh yeah. Spider-Man Homecoming review coming right up.
Let's go! Let's go!
Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to our review of Spider-Man Homecoming. Now I'm going to try and keep this spoiler free, so if you haven't seen the film, I'm going to tell you why you should be out there seeing it right now. First off, Tom Holland. Now we got the first shot of him, of course, in Civil War. We got a great feel for the character, and this continues on with his own solo film. The one thing that is highly evident, I think, above and beyond any of his previous ones is the amount of comedy that is involved with it. And it's not just funny ha-ha comedy. This is the type of humor and pure enjoyment that a teenager would be getting if he was Spider-Man. Again, we saw a little brief shot of that in Civil War, and it really continues here from the straight off from his, well, let's just say reflections of his Civil War outing. To his first adventures out with the suit, to his struggling to try and be an Avenger. One of the things this does really well film-wise is it really sets up Spider-Man learning to be a hero, starting with small things and slowly building up, making mistakes. Big mistakes, small mistakes, overcoming his own personal fears, and really I think what this film does incredibly well is tie in the innate challenges that Peter has as a teenager, going to school, going through all of the regular teenage things, balancing that out with being Spider-Man. The sacrifices that he has to make, the losses that he suffers, the opinions that are sort of laid against him because of these choices that he has to make that he can't really tell anyone about. And I think that they did an amazing job of really setting up this type of character. Overall, the action was intense, was amazing. The storyline, very tight. This was an exemplary example of great storytelling. From the very beginning, when we are introduced to Michel Keaton's character, we see him as a person who becomes a villain because of circumstances of the world, because of what he is trying to do for his family. It really makes him an extremely sympathetic villain, and I think that that is always important. Sometimes it's very easy to just make a large, evil villain character, some sort of psycho that's doing things for his own reasons. This, we really get a great character who is a human being, who is trying to do the right thing, that has made choices, has been caught in situations which has caused him to make, well, I mean, the wrong choices. He's a villain, but it's understandable. And I think that understanding the motivations of a villain character makes them a lot more relatable and certainly brings them down, like I said, from this large archetypal villain type of thing to someone that we can really understand. From a supporting cast standpoint, amazing jobs. Zendaya is, I cannot wait to see more of her. All of her small scenes when she pops up, totally teenager, totally perfect. Tonality is wonderful. Jacob Batalon, who plays Peter's buddy Ned, is perfect. He is the perfect buddy. Now, one thing that we typically find with Spider-Man films is part of Spider-Man's thing is he's got a secret identity. Nobody knows that he is Spider-Man, and that's part of the problems. That's part of the anxiety that he goes through. They do take that back a little bit. I mean, and I'm not spoiling anything. It's in the commercials, in the advertisements, that his buddy Ned does find out that he is Spider-Man. And it gives a great dynamic, too. It gives something for Peter to throw ideas across. It gives sort of a foil to toss things back and forth. It gives our dialogue options opening, where it's not just Peter kind of talking to himself and reflecting, but he's weighing things, and he can get some opinions that he isn't thinking of. So from a character development standpoint, it works really well, and Ned is certainly a character that by the end, by 3 minutes in, we are cheering and loving. He does a great job. Also, Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. I know there's been a lot of thoughts as, is she too young? Is she too sexy? Is she too whatever? Marissa Tomei is 50. She is old enough to be an aunt, but she doesn't have to look and like. And I think that this is another great change because it moves the character into the more modern times. This is an older woman who still looks great, who still remembers being a kid, who is still enjoying and trying to help steer Peter through all of these complications and these difficulties. Plus, we also have Peter's concern for everything that May has gone through, not to overstress. So it's got, again, it maintains a lot of the dynamics of the comic character, of the comic base, while really shifting things up to a modern time. Of course, we do have Iron Man in this film. Tony Stark highly advertised this part, but we've seen most of the scenes that he is in. He is not huge, but he is an important figure. He is an important kind of father figure, someone that Tom Holland's at Spider-Man, that Peter Parker there is trying to aspire to try and please. So it creates a very interesting dynamic between the two of them. Lengthwise, now the film's about 2 hours and 13 minutes. But it moves very quickly, and yet there is a lot in it. It is not your standard 3-act film. It really feels like 4 or 5 acts, that we get a whole part of a film and then we get a whole nother kind of chunk evolution of the film. In some ways, almost like a 2-in-1 is sort of how it felt to me. But it didn't feel overly burdened. It didn't feel overly done. It didn't feel overly stuffed. Everything made sense and everything moved together. It's a brilliant bit of script writing which really balances the comedy, the character, the action, and the storytelling. Now, if there is any criticism that I can weigh towards the film, it is a very tiny, tiny one, and that is the sense of they do kind of throw in an interesting timeline problem, which doesn't really logically seem to make sense to link up with the rest of the films. It's silly. I don't know why they did it. Now I do know, because they're trying to make Spider-Man as a trilogy, they're trying to work him as each year in his high school, and the next film isn't coming out until 2019. So in some ways they're kind of pushing and meddling the timelines in order to get this to work up, you know, sophomore, junior, senior year for the big 3 Spider-Man films that are planned out at the moment, plus linking into everything that has happened. So there's a little bit of muddying timeline-wise. But overall, like I said, that's a minor issue, something that could be easily corrected or just overlooked for the joy and everything that the film brings to it. So overall, a highly successful solo outing. Really, again, this is the Spider-Man that we have wanted. He is in high school. He was dealing with classes. He's dealing with homework. He's dealing with tests. He's dealing with girls, and all trying to do all those amazingly complicated teenager things on top of being Spider-Man and everything that entails. It does it beautifully. I wanted to sit in the theater and wait for the next showing to go. I wanted to dive right back into this adventure. I cannot wait to see it again, and I highly recommend it to everyone. If you're not a big Spider-Man fan, it is a great film to enjoy. If you are a big Spider-Man fan, this is really the one that you've been wanting to see. With the other iterations, we had some good Peter Parker work, we had some good Spider-Man work. Here we have good Peter Parker and Spider-Man work and whole world building all together. Part of it is we don't dive in at all. There's barely touched on Peter's origin, and I think that has left there. There is no talk of Uncle Ben, and we don't need it. All of those feelings, all of those images, all of those impetuses are carried on throughout the film without having to really deal and dwell on them. We know them as audience members, and even if we didn't, we really don't need to in order to take this story and carry it forward and understand what Peter's going through, where he's coming from, and where it is that he is trying to go. So, awesome film. Definitely go see it. Tom Holland did an amazing job. Michel Keaton, Marissa Tomei, Jacob Batalon, Zendaya, everyone did an amazing. Even Flash Thompson was a perfect kind of update in this film. Not the same Flash as the old days, but a perfect kind of Flash taunting bully character for now. So again, everything I thought was beautifully done. Really, really enjoyed the film. Really looking forward to where this world is going to continue to take Peter. And as we know, Spider-Man will be the character that will wrap up Stage 3 and bring us and introduce us into Stage 4. So this is the character to watch for the MCU moving forward. Check it out. Enjoy it. I did, and so did my family. So, that's it. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye. It also has one of the best post-credit scenes since the Avengers shawarma bit. So, it's a Marvel film. Always stay till the end. Like, subscribe, other reviews. Thanks for checking it out. Enjoy.